Hey there, it's Tom Ryan, founder and CEO of ICR. Before we get into the next episode, I wanted to ask that you subscribe to the show. It'll help us get even more unique and interesting guests on the podcast and in turn continue to educate management teams and the growing ecosystem that creates value for fast-growing private and public companies. And while you're at it, head over to Apple Podcasts and leave us a 5-star rating. Very much appreciated.
If you have intellectual property, copyrights, material non-public information, government secrets, or, minors in your household, you should not be touching any of the common AI products that exist today. At all. Ever. You should not even download them on your computer.
Everyone is clamoring to integrate AI into their businesses and personal lives, but our guest today is concerned that these AI companies aren't doing enough to protect personal data, and that is placing users at risk. Thankfully, we may now have a safer alternative.
There isn't democratized access to a privacy-centric alternative. And for me, Telegram has been that for a long time in messaging, and over the past couple of years has become that in social media, and now it's becoming that in AI.
My name is Tom Ryan, and this is Welcome to the Arena, the ICR podcast. Each week, I sit down with today's business leaders to give you an inside scoop on some of America's most prosperous public companies, their origins, their challenges, and the keys to their success. My guest today is Brittany Kaiser, the CEO of AlphaTON Capital, symbol ATON. AlphaTON is the world's leading technology public company scaling the Telegram super app with an addressable market of 1 billion plus monthly active users. And they're doing that while managing a strategic reserve of digital assets. Brittany is a globally recognized expert at the intersection of digital assets, public policy, and the capital markets. She spent her career guiding companies and governments through technological and legislative changes, and that's exactly what she's going to do for us today. Let's enter the arena with Brittany Kaiser. You've had a fascinating career spanning policy and whistleblowing and data rights and now AI, digital stuff. Take me through your career and kind of how it led you to AlphaTON.
Absolutely. So I started my career training as a human rights lawyer, actually a human rights barrister in the United Kingdom. So I was concentrating on public international law, which is a lot about individual rights and how you protect them. So that's your human rights, that's your property rights, that's your civil rights. And while I didn't remain in law as my main career, I ended up going into technology, working on political campaigns, and then eventually working for tech companies. And coming from the human rights law perspective or individual rights, it became obvious very quickly that the way that technology functions is not designed to protect individual rights.
That's polite.
Exactly. That's, the 10,000 foot level of looking at it. And once you go deeper and actually work in what they call the belly of the beast, the back end of a tech company, and you see how it functions and how it collects data and the lack of transparency and how easy it is for data to be used for any purpose without the explicit consent of the individual whose data it is, it becomes something that should be concerning to more people than just me. And yep. I think over my career, it really has started to be. But when I really went full-time into tech, when I joined Cambridge Analytica in 2014, and I really saw very quickly that there were a lot of problems with the way that technology functioned, and that from my perspective, there were a lot of ways to change that, which is why I didn't leave there to immediately become a tech executive. I left there as a whistleblower and to start working on helping co-author a lot of the first privacy and data protection legislation that we have in the United States and abroad.
Yeah, that's very cool. And then I know AlphaTON came into existence kind of in August of last year, August of 25. Your whole kind of intro there leads us to the Telegram ecosystem. For people who don't know, maybe describe what it is, the scale of it, and the ecosystem around it.
Yeah, for sure. So Throughout my career, I've been hyper engaged with social media. I worked in politics for a long time and helped build a lot of the first ever technology tools for politics, both on the Obama campaign and then also for the Republicans and the Trump campaign from the Cambridge Analytica side. And then also for, Bobby Kennedy's campaign when he was a Democrat and independent and then became a Republican. So I have worked on all sides of the aisle building technology for politics and for government. And really what I could see is how effective these technologies are, yet the way that data is used in social media is not an inherent good for individuals. It kind of depends how it's being used. It can be used for amazing things, like getting people to register to vote for the first time, and it can be used for very bad things. Because you don't have any control over your personal information. Now, when Telegram came out, that was 2013, 2014. That was right when I was joining Cambridge Analytica and started getting really deeply interested in data protection issues. And Pavel Durov, the CEO and founder of Telegram, he founded that in order to create the first encrypted messaging app where you didn't have to share your data with the company. And even the government in the jurisdiction that you were in wouldn't be able to see the data either. And that was revolutionary. That was the first time a messaging app had ever had encryption. And it was not too long after that he invented exploding messages. So that even on the servers of the company, the data would no longer exist if you didn't want the data to be there. And that was also a huge revolution. And ever since then, a lot of other companies like WhatsApp and Signal have copied him. But Pavel and Telegram were the inventors of those technologies. So that, for me, was really exciting, especially coming from a human rights background where I had worked with a lot of human rights activists and dissidents and people who are trying to keep their information from the government, not because they're doing something wrong, but because the government might see what they're doing as wrong. And Pavel specifically launched Telegram to protect people in, Russia and Ukraine from the governments knowing that they were protesting. So that was a really big deal. And I was very interested in it from a human rights perspective. And then as I went through my whistleblowing process against Facebook and really got deeply into, how Facebook and WhatsApp function and what data they take from you, a lot of legislators and regulators and government investigators that I was working with on these cases and investigations really were always comparing WhatsApp and Facebook with, Telegram and Signal, and wanting to know how data encryption functions on these different platforms and why certain ones are safer than the others. And so Telegram was always on my mind. It's something that I've used, every day for over a decade. And it really became apparent to me after going through my whistleblowing process and joining the crypto community, which you could say it stands for cryptocurrencies, but it stands for encryption technology, that people who care about data encryption were using Telegram every day, not just for their personal use, but for their business. And I really started to concentrate on it and think, this is something truly, truly important. And I became an entrepreneur over the past 8 years or so. And this is now my third company I've taken public on NASDAQ. The last one was focused on Bitcoin mining and green data centers. And it's now called American Bitcoin, NASDAQ ABTC. I took it public as Griffin Digital Mining, NASDAQ GRYP. And I thought, well, besides Bitcoin, what else in blockchain and encryption technologies is the most exciting? And for me, that is Telegram and the TON blockchain. So I got together with some of my closest colleagues and said, let's launch a company on NASDAQ that is focused on Telegram and investing across the ecosystem in a full stack manner so that we have technologies and hardware, firmware, middleware, and software that are all focused on Telegram, where you can guarantee data protection and privacy, but for 1 billion users, because there's quite a lot of interesting encryption and privacy technologies in the world, but they're just not used by enough people to make them global.
And so TON is the native token of Telegram. Maybe comment on the whole, like the wallet and how it all kind of fits together with Telegram, because I think the perception of most people is like, oh, it's a messaging app and that's it.
So TON being the native blockchain of Telegram is a big deal for a number of reasons, because Telegram is, a super app. It's one of the top 5 most downloaded and used apps in the world. If you don't know what the others are, it's, WhatsApp and Instagram, which are Meta properties, TikTok, WeChat, and then Telegram. So of the top 5 most used apps in the world, Telegram is the only one that is vertically integrated decentralized encryption technologies, blockchain. So it actually has a blockchain backend, which means that you can own your data and own your digital assets in Telegram. So even your digital identity, your handle on Telegram, you own that as an on-chain asset, and you can hold that on the blockchain. No one can take it away from you. Telegram can't delete it. It's yours. Which is way different to how every other app that could be compared to Telegram functions. If they don't like you, they can delete you. If enough people or even bots report you, they can delete you.
Yeah.
Telegram, it doesn't function that way. You own your handle, and you can choose to buy other handles or sell yours because it's an asset that you own. And you can also be earning in-game assets. You own your gifts, your stickers. It's a really big deal to have something like that at that scale with over 1 billion monthly active users. It's also the only super app that is growing, not shrinking. Telegram has 2.5 million new users every single day. So it's quickly on its way to 1.5 billion users, where other similar size apps like OpenAI has 800 million users. They're actively shrinking and scrambling to keep their users, which is when Sam Altman announces a red flag moment, an emergency in OpenAI. It's because he sees how many users they are losing and quickly asks his entire team to stop what they're doing to find ways to have customer retention. Telegram doesn't have that problem. It's very sticky. It's the lowest latency app that's out there. So when you look at using Telegram to deploy for your personal life, for your family life, your business, it's kind of a no-brainer because there's such a huge, sticky, active audience there. And I think that's what a lot of companies don't really realize. A lot of companies, for instance, have an app in the iOS store, they have an app in the Google Play Store, but they might not have a Telegram app, where Telegram is an open source permissionless app infrastructure. So you can just build and launch an app, and it costs you almost nothing to run it, instead of, 10, 20, 30% of your revenue like other app stores. So it's a huge opportunity to actually deploy your business to 1 billion monthly active users and have much higher margins than deploying elsewhere.
Yeah. And maybe just explain for people who are kind of new to all of this, how does TON fit into kind of the broader layer 1 landscape, particularly like Ethereum and Solana?
Yeah. We generally compare it to Ethereum and Solana if we're going to choose like a 3-token chart, because it is around the same speed as Solana, and it's much faster than Ethereum, and it's cheaper than Ethereum by far. It also is the only blockchain that has what's called an infinite sharding technology. So it means when you do a transaction from one point to the other, the data goes into infinite shards. So to hack is basically impossible, because even if a hacker were to break some part of the encryption, they would probably only get a hold of one or a couple of the shards, and therefore wouldn't be able to put the data back together. So for data protection, especially data protection that is designed for near infinite scalability to over 1 billion users, TON was designed specifically for that, for Telegram, where no other blockchains have 1 billion monthly active users or anywhere near it. So
you don't have to be in the crypto world to understand that, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Let's talk about the company's growth strategy, which is 3 parts, and maybe we'll take each one individually. Treasury accumulation, network yield generation, and most fascinating to me is the ecosystem venture building, which really differentiates you from other digital asset treasuries in my mind. Start with the treasury accumulation strategy. I know that Telegram bond purchases are a part of that. Talk about that.
Yeah. So for us, we started this company with a digital asset treasury strategy, which was to start with raising a strategic private round of PIPE into the public company in order to start a treasury. So to buy our first lot of TON tokens, which we believe to be incredibly undervalued and a great investment. Not financial advice or anything, but we really see a huge opportunity here for TON. And then to look at what other assets are treasury worthy, like as you said, Telegram bonds. For those that don't know, Telegram is a private company. You can't invest in it like you can with Meta. And so there's just this very, very exciting opportunity where Pavel Durov, the CEO and founder of Telegram, is the 100% owner and shareholder of Telegram because he doesn't want shareholders to tell him what to do with customer data because he won't sell it and he won't share it. He keeps it private, and that's why Telegram is so popular. But of course, if he were to go public and have all these shareholders, they might ask him to monetize it, which he's not interested in doing.
Totally.
So he's sold private debt instead. And so he's done 2 bond issuances, one in 2021 and one I think was in 2024. And those bonds yield between 7 to 9% per year. I think the first ones were 7 and the last issuance were 9%. Telegram made $2 billion in revenue last year, and the wider ecosystem on Telegram made another $1 billion. So Telegram as an ecosystem made $3 billion in revenue last year. It's absolutely huge.
They're in pretty good financial shape, I would say.
Yeah, exactly. And that is how they're, easily able to pay those bonds. And so that's a really nice, steady, reliable, non-risky asset. A direct dividend from the success of the wider ecosystem that we're now, vertically investing in. So for us, adding those to our treasury is super exciting for us, as well as, some other Telegram ecosystem tokens, like gaming tokens. We've announced that we intend to acquire the majority of Gamey, which is the largest gaming studio and gaming platform in Telegram. They have multiple ecosystem tokens like the Gamey token and the Watt token, which are really exciting. And those are, play to earn tokens within these games that has over 63 million monthly active users, 120 million user downloads. So acquiring other tokens that are important in the ecosystem that touch a lot of users in the ecosystem is super exciting for us. Other privacy tokens that are integrated onto TON, that's hugely exciting. And all of these tokens can stake and earn token on token compounding rewards.
Yep.
So we're able to grow the treasury just by staking and validating on the network. Even with Telegram bonds, we can use the 7 to 9% that we get from Telegram bonds and buy more of them. So we see our treasury strategy to be, reliable assets that can earn compounding yield over time. And so we aim to continue to grow that. But for us as the main operational part of our business, we really see investing across the wider ecosystem, not just investing in companies that already exist externally to us and trying to acquire 51 to 100% of the most promising ones, like a company like Gamey that are high revenue producing, high margin, positive EBITDA, but also to be launching our own products in the space and partnering with companies that want to launch their already revenue producing apps into the Telegram ecosystem. So maybe they already have a great business that is, an iOS and Android app. Fantastic. Let's give them a Telegram app as well. So that's our whole software side of the business, and something that we've made a lot of announcements about over the past 2 months is our new hardware part of the business, which is that Telegram launched their own AI network, the first large-scale privacy-centric AI network.
Yep.
So that is a very, very big deal in the world. It's called Cocoon AI. Its competitors are Meta AI, OpenAI, XAI. I'm sure you've heard of all of those.
All the AIs. Yeah, barely. Yep, I heard them.
But for, as an example, XAI has half the amount of users as Telegram and Cocoon AI.
Unbelievable.
Right? So it's a huge opportunity for us. We became a launch partner of Cocoon AI, and we have been scaling up by investing in GPUs and adding, H200s, B200s, B300s, the top of the line, Intel and NVIDIA chips to our balance sheet, which are live on Cocoon, producing TON. And we're getting, paid in TON by Telegram and AI applications on Telegram that want to use completely privacy-centric, confidential compute AI. And as Telegram rolls out AI native features to 1 billion users, Cocoon AI will very quickly scale to be something that is really, a market comparable with all of the companies I just named.
Wall Street loves to put companies in a box, and I guess technically speaking, AlphaTON is a digital asset treasury. But listening to Brittany talk about all their different avenues for value creation, it occurred to me that the treasury piece was just one part of a much larger and more complex operation. I wanted to know from Brittany how AlphaTON really sees itself and its role in the broader tech ecosystem.
I know it's not the most common thing, but we are really a full stack company, and that's what we're building. So from hardware, firmware, middleware, software, we are investing in and deploying across the full stack of the Telegram ecosystem so that everything we do is privacy-centric, confidential compute, data protection focused.
Yeah.
And we're able to really offer consumers at all levels of the technology stack something that we believe is compliant, ethical, and the future of technology.
Yep. And risk management is such a huge part of all of this. Number one, it was interesting when Strategy had to go out and raise US dollars to kind of give them a cushion with some of their interest payments, and the market reacted positively to that. What's your philosophy on the balance sheet and leverage, number one? And then how do you view risk management with all of this? It's so exciting. It's emerging. It's probably not going to be completely linear all the time. How do you kind of take all that into account?
Yeah, for us, it's really making sure that we have a diverse set of revenue streams. So, of course, first and foremost, we have the treasury business, which earns compounding ton-on-ton returns. But ton is also a volatile asset, and we recognize that. But because I've been in crypto since 2011, it doesn't bother me that much. But it does sometimes bother institutional public company investors. So for us, we really see our diverse set of revenue streams from our software business, like gaming, DeFi, and other business applications that are high margin and high revenue producing and positive EBITDA to be very exciting. And then, of course, the least risky of all the businesses, the hardware business, AI infrastructure, is one of the most well-known and well-understood businesses in the public markets. It's where a lot of companies that even need to pivot from, a less successful business model are going into these days because it is just so reliable. If you have the consumer demand and you have access to the chips, buy the chips, plug them in the best power contract, the cheapest power contract you can get, and give those customers the, AI infrastructure that they're looking for. And so for us, we have this incredible opportunity as a launch partner of Cocoon AI where, it's only been launched for a month and we already have a huge amount of nodes that are live online that are earning, which we're very excited about, but we're scaling up because Cocoon has 1 billion monthly active users. So the scalability of this is really near infinite when you look at the amount of AI native applications that are running on Telegram. And now instead of running on third-party AI servers, they can run natively. So we're scaling to meet that demand and buying the top of the line chips, putting them in top of the line data centers with great long-term power contracts and getting them online so that, as soon as they're on, they're earning immediately from day one. And for us, that is, a very low risk, high reward business.
Yeah. And, what's also exciting, and I don't know why any developer would go anywhere else, but it sounds like, between AI and gaming and news and like all the other things that are going on, what does this look like 3 to 5 years from now? I mean, what do you think developers are going to get into and how big could this ecosystem be?
I think that privacy-centric AI is going to become one of the most coveted assets in the world because right now, most AI products, like 99.999% of AI products, are not safe. They take all or most of your data all of the time, and you have no consent or permission structures for how that is used, and then how you are targeted back by those AI products. That means that most AI products are not safe for you to use personally, They're definitely not safe for your children, and they're certainly not safe for running private business or especially government business. So if you have intellectual property, copyrights, material non-public information, government secrets, or, minors in your household, you should not be touching any of the common AI products that exist today at all, ever. You should not even download them on your computer. It's a big disaster that a lot of people kind of acknowledge, but don't really do anything about because there isn't democratized access to a privacy-centric alternative. And for me, Telegram has been that for a long time in messaging, and over the past couple of years has become that in social media. And now it's becoming that in AI. And that is, the future that is finally here today. And as Telegram really vertically integrates AI features and Cocoon AI becomes more accessible and easier to use on the UI, UX, and scalability side, people are going to choose the safe version instead of the version that could completely destroy their business and their personal lives. I think the choice is quite obvious.
Yeah, I mean, you're very calm in explaining that, but, it just seems so logical to me. When Telegram came along, the messaging app, if that's private and you own your information or it can't be sold, over 1 billion people went that way, right? So, AI right now, there's so much money on the table for it to be like whatever it is, right? Whatever, it's like water running downhill, it's gravity. Like people will make money no matter what. Once the options are out there, you would think people would gravitate to the one that protects them and their family and their children and their friends and their business, right?
Yeah, I mean, since becoming a whistleblower, I would say the most common question that people ask me is, okay, I now understand that the products I'm using are not safe or are not good or are not what I should be using for my business.
Right.
But what do I do instead? And it's been a really interesting process over the past 8 years, because I became a whistleblower in March 2018, to really give people a good list of alternatives, because a lot of them take a complex set of technical skills in order to use. A lot of products that I've considered to be more safe on the data protection side have been not the best UI UX or expensive or whatever the issue is, but it hasn't been, one of the biggest technology companies in the world is providing it easy to use with, a few clicks of a button. And that's where I see this potential in Telegram, because they've already been able to provide privacy and data protection to, a large portion of the planet in messaging and social media. So taking that step in the world's largest privacy-centric AI network seems like a supernatural fit.
Yep. Well, like any public company, Brittany, most public investors say, okay, this is great. It's a great idea. You have a great strategy, but like, who's the jockey? Who's running this? I think you've assembled really an incredible leadership and advisory team. And that's really what makes something like this work, not just the idea. Maybe talk about your management and leadership and advisory team and the people you've pulled together to kind of make this a reality and grow it over time.
Yeah, absolutely. We really do have a good set of all-stars, I have to say. So my original co-founder, Enzo Villani, who is now our chief investment officer and our executive chairman, he was the former head of strategy at NASDAQ. So he didn't leave the TradFi markets, but he got into crypto about 11 years ago. So he's been in digital assets for a long time. Started one of the most successful digital asset funds, Alpha Sigma Capital, and has been investing across the ecosystem. He was actually one of my investors in Griffin Digital Mining, which is now American Bitcoin. And so he was the person who originally said, like, should we do a TON digital asset treasury? You'd be the perfect person to, invest in Telegram with me. And so he is absolutely amazing. And because he spent so much of his career doing M&A roll-ups, especially of like DF King and the top, IR firms in the space, he even tried to buy ICR multiple times, but it was too expensive.
I was going to say, I know Enzo. He's awesome.
Yeah, he's amazing. He helped us build an incredible team, including Yuri Matin, who's our chief business development officer. He is deep in the Telegram ecosystem and also the managing partner at RSV Capital, which is a huge late stage, high growth technology secondaries fund. So they did the IPO for like eToro, Upgrade, and a lot of the biggest high growth markets that you probably know about in large scale tech companies. And then we have our CTO, Logan Galema, who's been CEO of multiple of his own tech companies, but has built tons of products that he's even sold to the US government, like the Air Force. He's done work for DARPA. So he's assembled a tech team that are, some of the best people in the digital asset space and in AI and in decentralized AI. So we have such an incredible all-star team of builders that are actually creating our products and launching our products, which is hugely exciting. And we also have an incredible board. People listening to this have probably heard of Michael Turpin, who's on our board of directors, considered the godfather of crypto. He's invested in over 300 different blockchain companies and is an advisor to even more than that. So we have a lot of legends on our team and within the company who have incredible track records and really represent some of the best and brightest minds who have all been very successful multi-exit entrepreneurs in their own right and, come to the table with their own teams that are helping us not just build strategy, but execute all of the exciting projects that we've already publicly announced.
That was Brittany Kaiser, CEO of AlphaTON, symbol ATON, the world's leading technology company scaling the Telegram super app with over 1 billion users and climbing. What's interesting to me is the growth story here, which is really a flywheel. It's treasury accumulation, the yield generation, and ecosystem venture building, and behind it all is a great management team. It's also a public equity that gives you exposure to TON, Telegram, and the future of privacy if you think about it. Super exciting and definitely makes AlphaTON a company to watch. This is Tom Ryan. We'll see you next time back in the arena.
References to specific stocks are not intended to be recommendations for specific trading behavior. Comments presented on this podcast are intended for informational and educational purposes only, and do not represent opinions or recommendations on whether to buy, sell, or hold shares of a particular stock. All investors are advised to conduct their own independent research into individual stocks before making a trading decision. In addition, investors are advised that past stock performance is no guarantee of future price performance.